I've taken my tempura substitute and set it up for a simple test. Here we have an LED with a 12-volt battery supply and a 1 kilo ohm resistor. They're set up in series, and here is the Jawari plate of the tempura substitute, and there's 4 strings here, and this here is an electrical connection from the positive side of the power supply to the Jawari plate, so that all of the strings are electrified. Down here we have the LED and the resistor in series, and the resistor almost but not quite touches with one of its legs this string here. So when you pluck that string you can see it light up. But that's not the point, although it's kind of fun. The more important thing is when you play the same note on a different string, the LED will light up. So let's see where we are. You can see it lights up when I play that note, but if I play a different note, nothing. The idea of this test is to see how easy it would be to rig up an instrument that had sympathetic strings, like a sitar or a sarod, that kind of instrument, that kind of setup, something with sympathetic strings, doesn't have to be those, and then you can have all these LEDs, possibly in different colours, set up along the instrument so that when you play a particular note, a particular light lights up. You could have them inside of the heads of puppets, so a different puppet lights up for each note if you wanted. You might also be able to take the electrical supply from here and put it through a speaker and have that as a very rough output, that when you hit a particular note, or one of the notes of the scale that you have your sympathetic strings tuned to, you would get an intermittent contact between the power supply and the speaker, and the frequency of that contact would depend on the frequency of the sympathetic string. There's a slight complication here. I've put the contact of the resistor at the midpoint of the string. That is because that's the bit that usually moves the most, so that was the easiest way to do the test, rather than messing around trying to measure a tiny little difference in the position of the string. If you used looser strings, then there would be a wider movement and it would be easier, but when the strings have more vibrations in them, they'd be of a high frequency, which would make things a little weird, but possibly better. Anyway, with it being in the middle of the string, it's basically picking up on the odd harmonics. So in theory, as well as the fundamental of the string, which is what I was just trying to play then, if you played the 3rd harmonic or the 5th harmonic, the LED should light up, whereas if you played the 2nd or the 4th, it wouldn't, if I have that right. Let's see what happens. So that's your fundamental. So we go up. That's the octave. Okay, that doesn't seem to be happening, but in some ways that's actually better, because that means it's only responding to one specific note, which is kind of useful in an indicator, although it's mildly annoying that you'd have to have a separate circuit to represent an octave above it. That means you have to tune twice as many strings if you want to have both, which is annoying, but on the other hand perhaps more interesting, because you could change the relationship. Instead of having a standard octave, you could have stretched octaves and still the indicators would work. I've now set it up with the contact of the LED 1/3 of the way along the string, and this way you seem to be able to get a signal both with the fundamental and the octave. There we have the fundamental, and that's the octave. Another thing you could do is have something where the vibrations from something else is put into a set of resonant strings, and then those resonant strings light up according to the pitch of the something else. So one of the things you can do is sing into a drum skin that has the bridge of the resonant strings mounted on it, or you can also have some kind of driver, one of those contact loudspeakers that you get, contact transducer, and just take any other electrical signal and feed it in, and then have the lights light up appropriately. You don't actually have to just have lights either. I mean, there's many other things you could do. You could have not just LEDs, but something tripping much more powerful lights at a gig. Or, no, I'm not going to go into that.